Welcome to Above and Below, the podcast of the Construction Industry Alliance for Suicide Prevention. My name is Sonia Bowman, and I'm the Executive Director of CIASP. And my co-host Zolk will be joining me today, and our friend Paul Lawson. So let's get started. So, well, you know enough probably at this point about myself. Zolk can give a little bit of background on his journey to construction, because I think that's important. But what we really want to hear about is your journey to construction.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I've been in this ecosystem. I have a degree in engineering. Ended up working in construction after I came back from working in the United States government.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked for developers. I started my own construction company in 2005. I've been around this space for a while. And one of the things that really dawned on us is that, the amount of time and effort we put into employee development is probably where the industry's been lacking long before I was ever born.
Sure.
And I'm hoping that along the way, things like CIASP and all that will help change and pivot how we develop the resources that are currently subscribing to the industry as an ecosystem. And more importantly, the ones that are currently here, how do we keep them healthy? How do we keep them strong? We talked about this. We bantered off of them. We don't call them blue collar workers. They're construction warriors.
Sure.
Right? I think it's just a stigma associated with this idea of blue collar when really it's just a color of your shirt. I don't think I've seen a blue shirt on a job site other than a golf shirt in 30 plus years. So I'm not sure where they got it from.
Yeah.
But the industry as a whole is comprised of a lot of smart people that maybe academics wasn't their gift. But shit, they know math better than most people that have a math degree.
They wouldn't have gotten sparks out of their ears from you talking about the difference between metric and our dumb system down here a second ago. These folks they know it. They're smart.
They're smart people. They have a different set of skills. They're very tactile human beings because they need to touch and feel it. I got to tell you, since I've been gone, I miss the fact that I could drive around the city and say, we influence the way that topography looks today. Mm-hmm. With buildings, facilities, amenities, all of that space. So really, the warriors of the industry leave a lasting memory for many generations to come.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for
sharing.
Paul,
enough about me. Let's talk about you.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me on here too. I really appreciate it. I love this podcast. I love what you guys do. I love everything that Construction Industry Alliance does. And it's an honor to be just a tiny little part of it and all the work and mission that you guys are in. So just to kind of talk about sort of my background and how I kind of got into this whole thing and how I sauntered into the construction industry. I am a baby in the construction industry. 2019 is when I walked in and joined an electrical contractor here in Columbus. Before that, and this is kind of part of the story too, of how I got there. I'm actually formerly a middle school and high school youth pastor. So I did church work for a really long time. I know Zolk's just like, how in the hell did you get
I knew that, so I'm not as surprised.
How? So that's my whole background. For 14 years, I was in ministry. So took care of folks, preached, taught, recruited volunteers, took care of families who were in crisis, hospital visits, all that stuff. So that's what I did for a long, long, long time. So I was never also the kind of pastor to drive a Bentley. I was never Righteous Gemstones style pastor.
So I don't
know if Zolk. Right. Zolk, have you seen this show, Sonia? I think you and I have talked about it. Mm-hmm. Have you seen Righteous Gemstones? Okay. So you understand the reference. So that's why I think for me, I'm not from that. That's not the kind of pastor I ever wanted to be or become was how do I get rich as a pastor? So to me, I wanted to just serve people and take care of people. That's what I was from. I grew up in it. And this will kind of come full circle here in a bit and how I ended up in the work that I'm doing here in construction. So that's part of my background, former pastor. The other part of my story is I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. So originally diagnosed in 2008 of a survivable type cancer, but I got home from testing after my freshman year of college and noticed something was wrong and got diagnosis and then spent that entire summer fighting cancer. Got back into remission, went through that whole process of chemo and that whole thing, and then ended up just back. I was only a week late for my sophomore year.
Wow.
And they still counted me as absent for that week too. And I was like, you've got to,
But you were absent, though.
I'm just happy to be alive, but also come on, man.
But you were absent. Let me just
Yeah. It's all. I was absent. I was.
You're still not there.
That's true. It's true. I was. So, but either way. So anyway, went through that whole thing. Went to Bible college. I met my wife there, and then 10 years later, that same cancer, it's like one cell survived. That was a round of chemo treatments and just decided to turn back on and start growing again. So this was after I was married and had a 1-year-old. And so we had just moved from Cincinnati, Ohio, over to Indianapolis, Indiana to take a job at a different church. And so we moved in the fall, and a month later, I got the diagnosis. So new city, new church, and a fresh re-diagnosis of the same cancer. And it's the kind of, and with a baby. Yep. So we were in shock. And it was the same type of cancer, but if that cancer, same type, comes back, it doesn't play by the same rules. So the prognosis, it's much more aggressive. So they hit me with even heavier chemo and a real big surgery and all that. And even in the beginning of all that, they were like, we don't know. And you never want to hear that from an oncologist. You never want to hear like, hey, this might be it, So we went through that whole thing. I still have the voicemail from my oncologist when my numbers all went back to normal. And I got my second remission report.
Amazing.
And after that point, I started doing a lot of kind of soul searching and thinking about like, what do I want to do? So at first I was like, I want to be a nurse. Like I had great nurses who helped me and just made that entire experience it's not like better, but like kind of in a way, like
easier.
I think easier, and just having somebody who genuinely cared, like in the midst of all that, knew what they were talking about and had been around for it, like that really helped. So the thought of being able to do that and help other people, I was like, hell yeah, that's what I want to do. So I applied to a couple nursing schools and got into them, and got my kind of pick of the litter of where I wanted to go, but then we just couldn't swing it career-wise with my wife and like switching all that around. And so we were kind of left in this weird situation. We were like, okay, I don't feel, if my cancer were to come back and actually take me out as a pastor, I haven't set my family up well financially in any way, shape, or form. So I was like, so if nursing doesn't work out, if I can't get into nursing school, I want to find something that is a solid career and a solid industry in which I can make something better for my family. So I had friends in construction, and they were like they were over in Columbus. So they were like, hey, why don't you just jump back over to Ohio, and why don't you come join our company? And it was Mid-City Electric over in Westerville, Ohio. And they were like, we don't know what, there's an admin spot in the front desk open if you want to come on over and answer phones. And here I was, a former pastor. I used to work for one of the fastest growing churches in America. So I'd preach for 4,000 people or speak for 4,000 people, and then switch over to a new industry. And then I'm now answering phones at a front desk. And it felt very much like and I just survived cancer for the second time. So I've got this giant weird background I have no idea what to do with in our industry, in an industry that I don't understand whatsoever. But I got my insurance again and a fresh start. So we move on over here, we get a townhouse, and had no idea what to do with this. So I just kept plugging along over at Mid-City and answer phones and asked a lot of questions. I'll never forget my first day at Mid-City. I was just like, I don't really know what we do. So I asked one of the project managers, I was like, so what do we do here?
Oh my gosh.
Like, what do we do? And he was just like, well, the energy company, the power company, power gets,
it goes down
pushed
this
over
line,
to this thing. And we have to take power from this source.
and it goes into your house.
That's right.
Into the
That's
TV.
basically what he said. That's basically what it said was, we take power from distribution and then we put it this way over here and it plugs into this building or this house or whatever, and we power things. That's essentially what we do, to varying degrees of, of complication.
Right. So is Mid-City commercial or residential or both?
It's commercial. Gotcha. They do a little bit of larger residential projects, but it's mostly commercial. We went from corner electrical contractor from 1960 until 2015. And then after that point on, it was a lot of data centers and big commercial projects and warehouses and stuff like that. A lot of stuff that's been popping up like crazy here in Columbus.
Yeah.
So I just plugged away and did that. I got promoted a couple times and just kept doing more assisting project managers and back end work and change orders and proposals and kind of project engineer kind of stuff too, like panel schedules and just a bunch of grunt work that, the PMs didn't really want to do, but I could be happy to. But still, I had this background that I didn't know what to do with, like I don't know what a former pastor cancer survivor is going to do here in construction. And then 2021, we started kickballing around this idea of what if we did a wellness committee. So one of my coworkers is a health coach, and she was there doing marketing. So she kind of had a weird, windy story there too. And then so she kicked off this wellness committee, and we were like, I don't know what what do we want to do? Paul, you're a former pastor. Maybe you can come in and do some mental health stuff. And I'm like, I'm not a doctor or a therapist or anything. But they're like, well, you like people and you like talking to people. Yeah. So maybe you can do mental health stuff. I'm like, okay.
And you can talk to people, the other operative side.
That's right. You can talk to people and you like to talk to people. So that's when I first reached out to Cal Beyer, because I was like, I didn't know what to do as with a program or anything. So I was like, what else are people doing? So I'd look out on Google, and then Cal's name pops up on every corner of the internet when it comes to this topic. So I reached out to him, and
doesn't it?
Right, I know.
We're all connected to Cal in some way.
I know. It is. It was all the roads.
You don't know Cal yet, Zolk? Oh my gosh, you have to meet him.
I might have met him like I've met Paul, and I'm like,
yes.
Like in passing real quick.
No, now that you see that, I don't know that you do know Cal. I'm gonna have to connect you because he is amazing.
Cal's one of the patriarchs of this
movement.
Yeah. Cal's kind of one of the patriarchs of the movement. Like he's really kicked it off 15 years ago. So go ahead.
He co-wrote the article for CFMA that was in their magazine that really kicked off CIASP.
Yep.
So he's a bit of a legend in the business.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
And in the mission, I should say.
One of the humblest souls too, like just not in this for recognition. He's just doing it for mission. And so that's when I reached out to him, just because his email was attached to a survey that he had done.
Love that.
And I was like, hi, I'm Paul from Columbus. I am going to try to do some mental health stuff in construction, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. So could you help me? And he reached out and struck up a full dialogue and started asking questions. And then he was in town a couple months later and swung by and brought like print material and met me in person. And like, this was I didn't even know how legendary this guy was. And yet he's like inviting me to the table of this movement. And I'm only one person. He's done that for countless people. Like just incredible. So that was before we were still in a proactive position as a company when this was all going on, but we really didn't get a whole bunch of traction. We were still in just sort of kickball phase around that. But then March the following year, we lost a foreman to suicide. And so sort of out of the blue, this was a guy that no one was suspecting this could happen. He was the foreman that everybody just loved. He was just a well-loved guy, just a brother for a lot of these guys. So that's when we went from being proactive unproductively to like urgently reactive. And so I'll never forget the day when HR and superintendent came over and like, hey, Paul, you do mental health stuff. I just want to let you know this happened. And I'd remembered what Cal told me a while back of something that he used to do was to just go visit job sites and bring food. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. And honestly, that's the kind of thing I would have done as a pastor anyway. So I went out and visited his crew and brought food and just was available and just gave folks kind of room to process. They also brought in a grief counselor too, which I think a few folks went and saw him, which is fine. But I think we actually we kind of saw, man, a lot of folks really appreciated having somebody show up to take care of them. So I was like, you know what? We don't have to just be reactive with this. We can also like turn reactive back into proactive and just keep that going. And start making a regular rhythm of getting out to job sites and being with our guys. So I basically just asked for permission from the company, like, hey, I'm going to just keep this going. Can we just open up a little budget for some food each time? And I just want to get out there and start taking care of our guys. That was really the start of our program, and started out with just like proactive, getting out there to our job sites of, any size, and just be there with our guys. That we did that before we started doing training or anything like that.
What
So
were
pretty
you
soon,
talking about? Like, were you just kind of touching base? Were you talking
yeah,
about mental health? Were you like, tell us what that looked like?
right. At first, it wasn't. I didn't even know what a toolbox talk was. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
I just went out and I was just like, I'll just be available. And I think even the foreman was just like, hey, we got a guy here who's going to talk about like mental health stuff. If you guys can just give your attention to him. I didn't even have like a talk planned or anything, but they handed like the mic over to me, which basically just, here, he's going to stand there next to the electric panels and like all the conduit, and it's just a
You
sight.
were promoted. It could have been beside the porta john, dude.
It could have been. I know. It could
You got promoted. You're already
I could have had
promoted.
better
as a speaker.
acoustics had I had the porta johns behind me.
Yeah.
No, but and then I just at that first one, I'll never forget, is talking about just like, it's okay, all of the different emotions that come with grief. It's okay. Like just validating their emotions and their feelings, and that losing somebody as close as a foreman that you had been working with for a long time is so incredibly painful. It's like losing a brother and a family member, and just knowing it's okay to feel down and shocked and hurt and all of that. And then just giving them an invitation, like, hey, like, so I brought food, but if you guys want, I'm going to hang out for a while. And if you guys want to chat or anything, I'm available. And then and several of them did. But it was really well received. And I think for me, I kind of realized in that moment, like, okay, former pastor, I had been through my own mental health journey because of my cancer battle. And I didn't even mention this earlier. Yeah, I bottomed out in my mental health after I had cancer the second time. And then got therapy and really found a healthier place. And I think with all of that background, I was like, man, maybe this is what I want to do. Like, okay, in an industry that is really kind of getting into gear on how to take care of their crews really proactively and getting their boots dirty, talking to guys out in the field, man, that's something I want to do. That's great. So the puzzle was starting to come together around this time, and I started seeing what's my purpose in this. Mm-hmm. It wasn't to go become a project manager or a estimator or whatever thing I could have kind of parlayed into.
Sure.
No, I want to be a part of this movement. So anything that I can do to get this movement going, get word out there, talk to other companies, like it really, I think I found that purpose within those first couple months of getting out there and taking care of our guys. And then we just kept building from there. So anyway, that's my really long story of how I got into this. And it's been a lot of activity and things since then, but that's kind of how I found this mission and found this work.
So I got to say, awesome story, Paul. I'm not blowing smoke up your derriere.
Sure.
I'm going to say that if people believe in a higher power in different ways or shape or form.
Sure.
We all have identities that we connect with from a church or a mosque or a synagogue or however we get there. But there's divine intervention. Mm-hmm. I think that some of the challenges that you went through were designed to probably have the biggest ministry you can, which is the construction industry, which is non-denominational.
Yeah.
But we still need divine intervention from a perspective that there's a lot of guidance that the people need when they're on their job site, and that mental health will also dictate what happens in their universe. So you're actually carrying on your past as a minister by being able to be available to the industry. And I got to say this, you said Mid-City Electric is the company you work for?
Yeah, formerly. I'm independent now.
Oh, you're independent now?
I am.
Kudos to the leadership of that organization to allow you that opportunity and welcomed you into their ecosystem.
Yeah.
For the electrical contractors and all the electricians that are listening here, it's a little bit more complicated than a line and coming down and going out your outlet.
It is. It is very, very much so.
They work with technology that could kill you instantaneously.
Yes.
Yeah.
So sticking your hand in the socket is one thing, but going into a live 600 volt panel, that's instantaneous death. And for all the warriors that are on the high voltage line, like, God bless. I don't even know why they do it, but thank God they do what they do, because they evaporate. Like, they self-destruct if they ever got into an electrical strike compensation.
Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. It's extremely high stress that's just built into it. I mean, a lot of these guys have been doing it for a really long time and they know it really well. But I mean, I don't think that stress fully ever goes away because of the risk of arc flash and, all of those.
Those are all real sides of what we do. And the fact that, Mid-City Electric they brought you in and they recognized that you had some skills and attributes that could help their workforce. That's awesome. And
I got to give them some credit for giving me the margin and the permission to go as far as I wanted to go with it. Like, I probably could have landed at several different contractors in the city, but I happened to be, and I had friends there. That was going to be the one. But if I had been at another company, I don't know if I would have gotten the same level of margin and permission to do what I did. And so I got to give him credit.
Higher power, buddy.
Yeah.
Higher power.
Do you think that the loss that you all experienced was part of them giving you that much margin, or was that conversation really starting, recognizing that higher power maybe and what you were bringing to the table to get the conversation started, or maybe a little bit of both? Because I think some of our listeners are probably going, well, yeah, I kind of want to start this and I don't know really where, but some of them are also thinking, we may have experienced a loss and we're at a loss. We don't know what to do or how to do it. And what was the feedback you were getting in the field? Were people like, I'm tired of talking about this. I need to talk about this more. I know I just threw a bunch of questions at you.
No, right. No, I think no. So, questions. I mean, that's all right. Let me try to go to the first one there. So like with Mid-City, I mean, no, let's see. So they were, as far as like what we went through, like what we thought of was the process that we went through for the reactive, like how do we process this trauma that our company has gone through and take care of the family and talk to them, and like, so they went through that, and they gave me a lot of freedom in those couple weeks because I was doing full just administration, project manager assisting tasks during that time too. So I had like my black and white tasks that I was doing that were very typical from other industries or from other construction companies. The bulk of my paycheck is coming from those tasks. But then I have this little volunteer thing happening at the company as a mental health advocate.
Right.
And at that point, I didn't have a big laundry list of things I was doing around that. I went to a couple like committee meetings to kind of talk about what can we do about this. And I had a couple meetings with Cal, but it hadn't really formulated into anything yet. So as it began to grow, I think they started seeing pretty quickly like, okay, Paul, sure, he would probably be a fine project manager and he's good with communication and stuff, but really this is more purpose for him. And so I had support pretty instantly from leadership that like, this is really what we need to be like giving Paul like margin to do. So so I mean, I think that it was hopefully, to me, I'm hoping more companies see that as like, if you have somebody who is like a mental health advocate and they care for people around them and they have some of those skill sets, give them room to play. Like, get them on sites, get them in front of people, like give them room to go and build.
I actually want to touch on that for a quick second.
Yeah, please.
So you mentioned earlier in your story that they gave you the latitude to buy some food and take it down to the job site.
Yeah.
How much money was that food?
Oh, for a crew of 20 guys, I don't know, maybe $100 from McDonald's. I don't know. It's a love language.
We'll happily take Ronald McDonald money.
It's a love language. You pick up breakfast sandwiches from McDonald's and take them to a job site, and they'll listen to anything you got to say. So that's why I kept on,
Okay, so for $100, you had an audience of which, how many guys actually talked to you about it that day?
Oh, afterwards?
Yeah.
2 or 3, maybe 4.
So
like directly came up to me after.
So 4 people got therapy for $100. And for a guy like me who's been around for construction for far too long, when somebody says, how close are you, plus or minus $10,000 is probably a number that you can live with.
Yeah.
You were able to touch a soul. You were able to impact at least, let's call it 4 directly right away for $100. So I think for the listeners that are listening, it's not a big investment. It's $100 investment of food that carves out time that allows someone to say, hey, listen, this really sucks. And it's okay if we shed a tear or two in remembrance of our friends or our colleagues that are no longer with us. But hey, we're going to talk. So like, I think the problem that a lot of people in the industry have is like, where do I start? What's it going to take?
Yeah.
And reality is you just help define it. It's $100 that started the conversation.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the most skilled foreman. It wasn't the most skilled tradesman. It was a guy in the office that was just around, that was comfortable enough, that had some life experiences, that was saying, hey, I'm here to listen to you guys and be a voice with you.
Yep.
That reminds me of a conversation we had with Giovanni, and he was telling us about the cost of an incident. I mean, think about that. If we're going to talk ROI, let's think about that $100 and those people that were touched on that job site by Paul being there, helping them get their mind straight. What did he say? It was like $450,000 worth of cost on
that's
one
the
incident?
equivalent. Yeah. So I'm just for all the contractors out there, like even the guys in the field, it's $100 investment that starts the conversation. Yeah. And it starts the revolution in your organization where they go, we can actually start talking about this. So I'm sure it didn't stop at $100. There's probably a few other $100 that were spent.
We ended up turning it into like a full on, like we would do like a spring tour and a fall tour around Mental Health Month and Suicide Prevention Month and hit like as many job sites as we could. We also had a service division that was a little bit harder to get because that's like one guy out doing a bunch of projects. Sure. But what we would do for them is bring all of the service guys into the office and do like a lunch and learn with them. So that's how we would do it for them. But we really just kind of figured out as we went, we just kept building and building and building more and more parts of the program and just kept them going throughout the year. But it started simple with just taking food and talking to the guys, like simple, so simple. But we never wanted to really lose the heart of that as we kept growing. And I don't think we ever did. And it got to the point to where more and more companies were seeing what was going on. Then they were asking questions about like, well, I think we can do that too. I mean, we got a guy who kind of wants to do that. Like, what can we do? And so it just snowballed. We were very close to Zolk. I don't know if they have like builders exchanges up around in Toronto. Like, so we were very close to our builders exchange, and I kept kind of going in there and leveraging it and showing up to events and stuff. And then they started asking me to come speak for that. And that just got us all of that programming in front of their like 600 companies that are connected to it. So pretty soon it spread pretty much like wildfire here in Columbus, just from continuing to run the program and getting success stories from it, and then promoting that program to other companies and telling them and showing them, hey, like it's pretty simple, and I think y'all can do it too. So
Paul, it starts with a very simple idea if you think about it, Sonia. Yeah. Like it's sure. We're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars of investment. No. It's inflation. Well, just for inflation, it's $140 now. Right. But $140 buys you a lot of donuts.
Mm-hmm.
And the core of that, I mean, food to me is it's a tool for kindness, and kindness is free. So I mean, like if you can go out there and empathize and show kindness and listen, that's as free as it can get. You just got to get people to get out there and know how to want to do it. To me, it became potent enough that we got more and more folks in the field and in the office saying like, I want to do it too. And it developed a peer support team, and it kind of happened organically.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it just, to me, you start simple with just good heart and kindness, care. I think the one thing everybody has in common is people want to feel known. And if you can do that and meet that need, your program will take off. Yeah. So Sonia, I think I cut you off though.
No, you were okay. I'm glad that kind of finished itself out, because what I was going to ask next is, you did this at Mid-City and got it off the ground, but now have pivoted again to taking that, whether it's that divine intervention that Zolk talked about, or that desire to spread that kindness, but you're now doing this on a bigger scale independently. So what gave you the catalyst, the strength, the whatever you want to put, chutzpah, whatever word you want to put attached to it, what gave you the whatever to say, I have to take this bigger? Like what made you push that mission?
We kept growing the program, getting more and more people involved, and I kept more and more companies were reaching out and being like, hey, can you come, speak for our leadership, or can you come and do a training for us? And I wanted to just keep saying yes to everything, because to me, again, this is just furthering the mission. Like if Columbus could be a nice little ecosystem that we could go and play and experiment with how to get this movement going as much as possible in a city.
Right.
I was like, what can I do to make that happen? So I kept saying yes to basically everything, and Mid-City was like, that's cool, just take PTO and go do what you want. And it got to a point where I was starting to eat up all my PTO, which is a good problem, but at the same time, still need PTO for my family too. So we started having the conversation early last year where they were like, you've got something here. Like, that you're on a mission. Just go do it. Just get out there and do it. And I was scared out of my mind, even the thought of, I've never owned a business before. I've never run a business before. I've never been independent. I've always been an employee of something. So the thought of starting my own thing, at first I was like, dude, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. But then I had so many people in my corner and folks over at the Builders Exchange, and I had so much support that I was like, you know what? If I can take care of my family and pour myself 100% into this mission, why would I not want to do that? I wouldn't have to worry about having all my other black and white tasks, the stuff that I was fine and good at and, whatever, but I didn't have passion around that. But if I could pour myself 100% into passion and the mission of this, then I think to me, if I don't know when I'll be on my deathbed someday, but when I'm looking back on my life, I'll be able to say that's a life well lived. And that's what I was thinking of for my career. I wanted that. So I went ahead and made the move. I set up an LLC. I started putting together a website, got my name, Paul Lawson Helps LLC. And then I just we started moving that way. So we set up an arrangement with Mid-City, and they were like, all right, so like 9 months, take 9 months and promote the hell out of it. Get it out there to the rest of the city. Go ahead and start building your clientele while you're still working full time for us, and that way you've got it set up and ready to go. And then we'll also be your first client. So Mid-City, I'm still running their program, same program I built, but then they also, the CEO blasted out emails to other CEOs and his peer group, and I felt like it was the perfect situation where I had guaranteed business on the other end of it, and I could just then start saying yes to any opportunity that I wanted to.
They get a discount though, right, Paul?
They did. They did for sure. Absolutely. Goodness of my heart. No, that's home base to me. That's still home. So then that was it. And so February of this year is when I went fully independent, and I'm just trying to keep up. So it's been incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your ministry, Paul.
It is. I absolutely see it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I guess, speaking as a contractor,
sure.
How do you find that person in your organization that maybe be able to, and do you have any pointers that can say, hey, listen, find somebody in your group that actually has that emotional intelligence, that they can start this conversation and keep the dialogue alive with your workers? Do you have any suggestions for the people?
Yeah, I think
listen, go look for this characteristics.
Right. I think it's organic. I think if you find those people who just like being around people and talking to people, there's a certain charisma, I think, that comes about with if somebody feels comfortable being around people, in front of people, and also modeling vulnerability. Like, I don't think you have to have a crazy story. I think I remember in the beginning of this thing, I didn't have I didn't have anybody in my immediate circle who had died by suicide. And I thought at first that kind of stunted my story about I don't have that story to lean on when I get up and I talked about this movement, but then I started realizing but you know what? I've bottomed out in my mental health and developed a drinking problem. And I had to process that with a therapist, and I did. And it helped me become a healthier dad and husband and worker and all of that stuff. And so to me, that story absolutely gives me lived experience in a different way. And so to me, I think if anybody is able to connect with other people and has some kind of lived experience that gives them some kind of empathy for other folks who are going through maybe a hard situation or something, man, honestly, I feel like that's really all it takes, because I don't have letters behind my name. You know what my major is, Zolk? Sonia, you know this.
Hold on.
You're going to go look?
Of course. Vocal performance.
There you go. I'm operatically trained. I went to school for music. So I went to Bible college to be a worship pastor. That parlayed into becoming a youth pastor. But my degree is in music. So my degree is not in any kind of social work or counseling or anything like that. And I stay in that lane. I make sure I let people know I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm here to vouch for those people because I've used them myself. And I'll tell you about that experience, you know? But what I found is that, like, no, if you have a shred of care, if you have empathy, if you're okay being vulnerable and telling your story, I think everything else can be taught. I think it just takes those little core things. And that's what I've seen with other companies who have started appointing people. It might be somebody in HR. One of these other companies, it's their recruiting director. And he has a hell of a story. And he was like, I want to do this. And now I'm working on training him. You know, so I think every company can have an advocate. It's just empowering those folks and giving them margin.
Every company's got somebody who's got a story.
Yep.
I don't know that there's anyone on this planet that walks around that doesn't have a story. Right.
Agreed.
Sonia has a story. I have a story. You got your story.
Yep.
I think it's part of it is, and I think this is a challenge that the industry has, is recognizing it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yep.
Because we're all humans. Some of us are going to judge you.
Sure.
Not all of us, but some of us are going to judge you.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be judged, because what happens is the next person will be more vulnerable. And that just creates the effect, because really, people in construction have this armor on them all times. And we need to get that armor peeled off so they can be their genuine humans that they are behind those armor.
Yeah.
Right?
So what is and Paul, you might know this from your just your time as a pastor, and that whole, if you think about shadow and projection, right? So what we judge about others is the things that we are most vulnerable about within ourselves.
I've seen that show up time and time again. The number of folks who have been most judgmental towards me are the folks that then come back later, maybe a year afterwards or a year and a half afterwards, will be like, the reason why I was so hard, this actually happened. The reason why I was so hard on you was because my own mental health was tanking. And it felt threatening to have somebody like you come out here and empower people to speak up, because I'm terrified of speaking up. That happened
for so long. I've been putting it in the box and putting the lid on it and shoving it in the corner for so long. And now you pulled it right back out and started taking my lid off, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I think it's threatening for a lot of guys. It can be threatening for guys in the industry to see another, burly bearded dude show up and start talking about, like, my drinking struggles in the past and my mental health journey, and being vulnerable and speaking up about those things and getting help if you need it. So to me, I've kind of originally those interactions kind of scared the crap out of me, but then now I see them as, man, I think we're hitting a nerve in our industry that's effective. And I think, to me, it's indicative and it's evidence that this movement is getting traction, because now the next step is for those guys is to continue empowering them to take steps for themselves to get to a healthy place and to speak up.
Yep. So we are coming up on time. So we have one question that we ask everybody.
Sure.
Because it is something that CIASP has embraced this year. And that is, what would your word of the year be?
Mission.
Mission.
Why? I keep coming back to that, where everybody that I talk to, regardless of whether people are doing this as a business or whether people are part of a nonprofit or whether they are new to this movement or have been in this movement for a long time, it still keeps coming back to, and the through line for all of these folks that are at the table of this movement is that we are all on this mission together. And that is, to me, it's so important. If you look back at other movements in history and the people that are connected to it, it's mission. That's the focus of it. Everybody may have different, maybe sub-agendas or reasons that they're getting involved, or some people have lived experience of different degrees, but mission is the through line for the work that we're doing. So that mission is my word.
Love it.
Love it.
I get to ask you, son. I keep forgetting. What's yours again?
Intentionality.
Oh, that's right.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
She went for multi-syllables.
Yeah. I went for 2.
So what do you think Zolk says?
I mean, I have no idea. I'm going through 1,000 different words right now. What is yours, Zolk?
Just pick one word. We'll see if you get it.
We just watched Mary Poppins Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Is that it? Bam! Got it.
Yes. Grateful.
Say it again.
Grateful.
Grateful. Beautiful.
I'm grateful.
I love that.
Yeah, it works with I mean, people identify with concepts and theories and religions differently. I'm grateful for waking up in the morning.
Love it.
I'm grateful for going to bed and then waking back up in the morning.
Love it.
But I live a reasonably blessed life, and there's no other reason to understand it other than there's intersection between timing and opportunity and this divine intervention that makes that work.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. I love that.
No problem. Paul, on behalf of the CISP team, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And with gratitude and intentionality, Paul, we wish you success in continuing with this mission.
I appreciate it. I receive it.